So with the help of Jay-Z, Robinson Cano is looking to become one of the highest paid players in baseball history, while the Yankees look to spend money elsewhere. Will number 24 be back in the Bronx?
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
What is up, guys? Brian Danoff here. I know it is weird to hear me say that after close to 4 years of being called Yankees Run This Town here on YouTube. With Google Plus's, integration, and also, my hopes of pursuing a career in baseball media, in the as a broadcaster or a writer or what have you, I figured it would be better to have my name stapled to every type of content that I put out on the internet. My name is on Twitter, Facebook, all over the place, and I've already put it in a few of my videos, and I think it's just more formal. It's better for people to find me. I don't have to tell them it's Yankees Run This Town when my name isn't really Yankees Run This Town. I've loved the name. I've loved going on, working on this channel under that name, but, I just wanted to kind of have a better format of showcasing my ability and my thoughts, in a bit of a more professional way. So that's basically it. The content isn't going to change. I'll still talk about the Yankees. Nothing's changing besides the name. Everything else is the same. I'm the same guy, wearing the same hat, in the same room, same camera, same microphone, all that stuff. So enough about me. And it's been a pretty hectic offseason already for the Yankees. Of course, the season ended last time I talked to you guys. Mariano Rivera and Andy Pettitte were pitchers for the Yankees. That is no longer the case, of course. They both retired, rode off into the sunset in beautiful fashion. Mariano still receiving awards, and Andy retiring quietly to his home in Texas after pitching a complete game in his final start against Houston. We all know what went down with Mariano and Jeter and Andy coming to take him out of the game, and that was just unbelievable. I teared up. It was great. It was unbelievable. But that's a thing of the past now, and we're coming up on 2 months since that fateful, beautiful night. And the Yankees have to look towards the future, and towards building a championship caliber team in 2014, which surprisingly has become their goal, more so than the $189 million luxury tax threshold that Hal Steinbrenner put forth. All signs are pointing to the Yankees going back to spending money and spending it big. A lot of people are connecting them to, free agents such as Brian McCann, Carlos Beltran, the Japanese import Masahiro Tanaka, who in fact has not been posted yet and may not be posted. We'll have to see about that. But I'll give my thoughts on those players specifically later in the video. Right now, I did want to focus on the MLB free agent, the second baseman Robinson Cano. Can't really call him a Yankee right now. That's for sure. It doesn't sound like he's really not wearing his pinstripes too proudly right now. He opted for free agency. Of course, declined the qualifying offer. Throughout the season, the Yankees and him were never really close on negotiations when it came to a new contract, which of course he rightfully wants and deserves, and he is no doubt one of the most talented players in the game. But I think we can all agree, and I think everyone agrees, Yankee fans, the Yankees themselves, baseball, that asking for a 10-year, $300 million contract is a bit of a stretch. Just a little bit. Yeah. Cano is apparently standing pat on that request. Of course, Jay-Z and Rock Nation represent him now. So, of course, they like to do it big, I guess, over there. And, I mean, it's understandable to start out with a huge number, then eventually come down. But it's been a bit weird how Cano is not willing to budge, and, the Yankees haven't talked to him yet, and Jay-Z, of course, trying to be creative and thinks he's smart, went to go talk to the Mets, apparently, the other day to try to get the Yankees to suddenly, oh, okay, yeah, sure, take the 10-year deal. We don't want you going to the Mets. You know what I mean? Now, of course, I covered my thoughts on the Cano extension or re-signing in another video that I'll put in the description, and if you guys are too lazy to read, just click on this button right here, and that'll take you right to that. But basically I stated that I think Robinson Cano is a terrific player, but the Yankees may be better off moving forward without him. But then I also said that I still think he'll be back, and that really has not changed. My stance has not changed at all. I think Cano is a terrific player, as I said. I think the Yankees will ultimately resign him, no matter how ugly the negotiations may get. But if they cannot reel in the other free agents they're apparently coveting, that leaves Cano with another mediocre team next season that can't be helped out much by the farm, and the players currently on the roster are lackluster. You got Derek Jeter at shortstop. Maybe he'll be at DH while the anemic hitting Brendan Ryan comes back on a 1-year deal and he becomes a starting shortstop. His defense certainly makes up for it, and he'd be a solid bench piece. But right now, first base Mark Teixeira, of course, is coming back off wrist surgery, but wrists have always freaked me out, and if I feel something a little bit wrong on my wrist, I start flipping out. I feel like I could just totally see him making a random throw or random swing mid-season and something just going to snap and break again. To me, wrists are really tricky, and I'm not fully confident that he'll be able to be the same player he was or even be able to stay on the field, but I guess time will tell with that. Third base right now, Alex Rodriguez, potentially. He hasn't been suspended as of yet. He hasn't been jailed as of yet, if that could happen from this lawsuit, but things are pretty crazy right now when it comes to him. Left field, you got Soriano, center field, Gardner, right field, you can maybe squeeze another season out of Ichiro and Vernon Wells, but clearly neither of them can really start full time, and neither of them are really worth even being on a major league roster at this point, let's be fair. And then, catcher, better not be Chris Stewart next year, that's for sure. Starting rotation, you only have CC and Nova. The bullpen, you lost a ton of relievers. Boone Logan, Jabba, Mariano. So, the Yankees have so many holes, and not only for 2014, but for the years following. There's no big talents on the rise in the farm, as I said, that are supposed to come up in the next 2-3 years. Really, Gary Sanchez is still years away. Mason Williams is still years away. And the entire minor league system took a step back last year. They all had pretty disappointing years, aside from a breakout player here or there like Greg Bird or Rafael DePaula. So the farm system isn't in good shape. The free agent market, while offering good pieces, is not offering that game-changing talent that Robinson Cano is. And I just don't think that it is worth it to have him around while the Yankees maybe miss the playoffs a bunch of times, don't win the World Series, and how much can one superstar carry you, And as I said, Cano is a great player, but no one goes to see him. You don't see tons of Robinson Cano jerseys everywhere. At this point, he's still not that type of main attraction that will help the Yankees still sell tickets and raise TV ratings if the Yankees, around him aren't good enough and they struggle and they miss the playoffs. So, I think that's my opinion on it. That I don't think it could be. I don't think it'll be worth it in the end. I really don't. I think Cano could be one of the best second basemen in baseball history, if he isn't already. But I don't feel comfortable handing out another $25 million a year contract to a guy who's going to be 31, and realistically, there's no one around him to back him up and help him play up to his full potential and really raise his value. And We saw this year with him on the team, but a pretty bad lineup. The Yankees only won 85 games, and Cano, all his numbers. I mean, he had a good season for himself, but if you have no hitters around you, how are you gonna find ways to score? How are you going to get on base? As I said mid-season, who is going to pitch to Robinson Cano when you can pitch to Derek Jeter or Ichiro or Vernon Wells? You can pitch around Cano so easily with the lineup that they have now that if it's not improved, what's the point? What is the point? So that's really all I feel about Robinson Cano. But as I said, he'll probably be back. I still don't think there's a doubt in my mind that he won't. No team has made an offer to him. No team can really afford to give out the contract that he will receive, whether it's $300 million or whether it's $200 million. I see something like 8 years, $200 million, and as long as they don't go to that 9th or 10th year, I guess I could live with it. I love watching Cano play. As I said, don't get me wrong, I love Cano, but I personally don't think it's in the best interest of the team. But if they're going to re-sign him, it's to me, it's almost a foregone conclusion. And if they're wrong, well, if I'm wrong, well, I'm wrong. And it'll certainly be big news for a while, but it might be the best thing for the future of the Yankees and their attempts to truly build back up a dynasty, no matter when that may happen. So moving on past Cano, as I said, the Yankees are apparently going to be trying to court free agents to the Bronx to help out Cano and really beefing up the roster and their hopes make it a championship contending one for 2014. As I said, one of them, arguably the biggest name as of late, is the Japanese pitcher Masahiro Tanaka. He's a right-handed pitcher. We've all heard about him now. I think the general baseball fan should have at least read one thing about him or heard one thing about him. He is a stud ace in Japan, and he's very durable. I think he threw like 160 pitches or something like that in the Japanese Championship Series, and then the next night threw like 20 more pitches to close the series out. I've read all the scouting reports. Great, not a great, but an average, mid-90s fastball, but devastating breaking pitches. A nice, efficient motion. Really reminds me of Hiroki Kuroda, honestly. So if Kuroda does retire or leave, which I fully expect to happen, Tanaka could beautifully slide right in and take his place and maybe even do better. But as I said, the posting system isn't figured out yet. Apparently it's going to be a while, so he may not be posted till late December, early January, maybe even later than that, and maybe they'll even hold off another year before they really figure it out, and maybe Tanaka pitches in Japan for all of 2014, which would really hurt the Yankees' chances of course, not just contending next season, but then getting him the following offseason when a bunch more teams have money to spend and can do their due diligence and scout him and put aside their money and the Yankees, if Tanaka ends up being posted, that they would be in a great position to sign him. Everyone believes they will. They'd be the only team that can really afford to pay the posting fee and then also hammer out a deal. It'll probably be more money combined for Tanaka than the Rangers paid for Yu Darvish a few years ago, and of course we all know how great Darvish has become. I don't think Tanaka is at Darvish's level at all, but if he can be a solid number 2 starter, that's all I could ask for, because I'm not too high on international free agents. I'm really not. Now this may just be because I'm not easily impressed, that's just the type of guy I am, and also seeing how the last 15 years we've seen such little true polarizing talent come out of Cuba and Japan and what have you, and now all of a sudden we're having the Yasiel Puigs and the Yoenis Cespedeses and the our oldest Chapmans and Yu Darvishes and guys like that that are so good and so deadly, but it's only been a couple of seasons. Now, of course, you could say scouting's better there. You can say many different reasons which back up why there's so much heightened talent now that is able to transition over to the major leagues. But I just think it's a huge adjustment. It's a huge change. And, I'm all for getting Tanaka. I am. But I would not just immediately slide him in towards the top of the rotation and expect him to pitch well. Because, like the Yankees have been the last 5 years, I don't forget about Kei Igawa. I don't forget, for the Red Sox, I don't forget about Daisuke Matsuzaka, how good he was for a season or two and how bad he was after that. So that's my take on Tanaka. I hope he signs. I have no clue if he will get posted at all. But if he does, I'd say that the Yankees have a good shot at getting him. And then moving on, I'd say the next biggest free agent for the Yankees is Brian McCann. Basically, I've heard that every MLB executive expects McCann to sign with the Yankees, which is, as a Yankee fan, it's a comforting feeling to know the Yankees are going to be spending money again and trying to really, do what they have to do to field a legitimate contending team. It pisses me off now that it's come to Brian McCann. I'd rather still have Russell Martin as our catcher. Definitely a lot cheaper. Definitely, I'd say overall better as far as everything's considered with defense and health-wise. And, Brian McCann has been a steady, solid producer for the Braves. He's had a ton of terrific seasons, a ton of all-star campaigns. He's been a serviceable catcher. Definitely all the right reasons to bring him in. But he's also had a ton of injury problems. I don't think he's ever played more than 140 games, whether it's, in a season. He's never really been around a full season. He's had DL stints, he's had weeks off, stuff like that. Also, he's 30. Actually, I think he's 30, or 29. But the fact remains that I can't see him catching much longer than next season or the season after that, no matter what team he signs with, because catchers break down so easily now, and we're seeing how the Twins, permanently moved Joe Mauer to first base just a few weeks ago. The Giants will likely do the same very soon with Buster Posey. Full-time catchers are not common anymore, and you're going to have McCann play first base and DH a little bit, and I think to save his bat, to get the most value out of his bat, you're going to have to move him away from the catcher's position. And I don't think that's going to, really be worth giving him potentially a 5-year, $100 million contract. That's a huge commitment. And honestly, it's not that worth it when you can sign other catchers in the market, such as, AJ Pierzynski or Jared Saltalamacchia, to 1 or 2 year deals for a lot cheaper, and they may produce very close to the production that McCann would. So I do like Brian McCann. I think he will sign with the Yankees, but I don't think it's going to be a match made in heaven like some people argue. I think the right field porch would benefit him, but I'm not sold on his defense, and I'm not sold on his ability to catch much longer than 1 or 2 seasons out of what could be a pretty lengthy contract. So then after that, you really move on to the outfield, because there's not that many pitching talents on the market. You look at Matt Garza, but I don't see him as a fit. Tim Hudson signed with the Giants. Bronson Arroyo's out there, who I wouldn't mind. But other than that, there's really, the talent lies more in the outfield this season than in any other area. And, there's certainly plenty of them, most notably, of course, Carlos Beltran, as I said, Shin-Soo Choo, Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury, just no. No, he's not worth the money. He's not healthy. My Yankee bias attitude, he's a former Red Sox. It'd be weird seeing him with the Yankees, but, I was all for Youkilis coming over last season, and of course it didn't work out, so maybe I'm a little apprehensive about that with guys coming over from Boston, but, Ellsbury just is not a fit in my mind. Chu, maybe, but he will cost a lot of money. He strikes out a lot. I don't see Chu as a fit. I really see Beltran as the best out of those three. Now, I am not as high on Beltran as many other Yankee fans are. I don't think he'll be this amazing prodigy. Not a prodigy. He's 37. He couldn't be a prodigy. Some amazing talent that will lift the team. Because he is 37. He's had knee problems. He had a good season this year, but last year he was good. Great season this year, good last season. He's on the decline. He's up there in age. Postseason production, you can't just look at that alone and say, well, he hit well in October, so therefore he'll hit well from April to September. That's not the case. I'm all for giving him a 1 or 2 year contract, but not 3 like he is demanding. If he says 3 or I'll leave, I'll say thank you very much, Mr. Beltran. Good luck on your future endeavors. I don't want another huge contract being offered to an outfielder in his late 30s who's had recent injury problems, who may have only a year left of being an elite player, and then after that will decline and will be a huge waste of money, a huge waste of space, like Ichiro, like Vernon Wells, I hope this isn't the case, but maybe like Alfonso Soriano next year. You really don't know. So Beltran is a fit, but at the right price. So that's where I stand on those key free agents that are the biggest names and have been already connected to the Yankees. As I said, as far as shortstop goes, Brendan Ryan's been re-signed. Derek Jeter's been re-signed, so they'll split time there. Jeter will DH a little bit. They'll switch on and off. Like the signing, Ryan's a great defender. That's where I stand. I think the Yankees will get McCann. I hope they get Beltran, but at the right price. And Tanaka is a wild card, but if he is posted, I would fully expect to see him in pinstripes. And for Robinson Cano, once again, he is going to be a Yankee. Don't worry about it. Just try to ignore all the notifications you get and all the quotes you hear, because I think at the end of the day, Cano wants to stay with the Yankees, and I think the Yankees want him back too. And I think it'll happen. And while, as I said, I don't think it's the best move, Cano is a great player to watch and is still in his prime and has a solid number of seasons left of being a amazing talent to watch. So, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. Go Yankees. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at BrianD_MLB Talk. Follow the MLB Talk 101 on Twitter, and like the MLB Talk 101 on Facebook, and subscribe to the MLB Talk 101 on YouTube. It's an incredible network of growing baseball minds, including myself, and you'll see content from me on there very shortly, and I've already have a video up about the Yankees. You can go check that out. It's great, and I'll have a lot more details about it very soon, but for now, I'm off, and go Yankees, and hopefully next time I'm on here, I have some actual news to discuss, and not just my ramblings and senseless speeches about, the Yankees. So thanks for watching again, and I'll talk to you all real soon.